Yo, it's your boy Vegabomber here, getting ready to tell you what are my best picks for the year so far. Someone was talking to me on Twitter and we were talking about what were the best movies, and I think even AMC even did a piece. Someone asked them what were the top 5 movies thus far in the year. So I thought, good idea. I'm already talking about it on Twitter. Now I'm going to tell you folks sitting there in YouTube land. So, what are Vegabomber's top 5 films? Here they are. At number 5, Godzilla. Yes, I understand. It's not a perfect movie. I understand. A lot of people felt like they were teased a little bit too much before they saw it. That's fine. Like the original 1954 original with Perry Mason in it, Raymond Burr, how about that? It was the same way. So I don't have a problem that they did it that long. I'm just glad that this movie didn't look like any of the other Godzilla movies that we had to watch in the 90s and maybe even the early 2000s. They were really bad. So to me, sure, this movie had flaws, but to me, when Godzilla was on the screen, he dominated and he destroyed it. And when they let the fight go at the end, it was awesome. And I think when they do the second one, they'll probably heed some of the criticism and do a little bit more. But number 4, my number 4 pick for the year is probably going to be Captain America, Winter Soldier. I like this a lot better than the first one, although that's not very hard. The first one to me was just kind of lame. The reason why that movie didn't work for me, the first Captain America, was just the villain wasn't really all that compelling. So Captain America 2, the Winter Soldier, much better. And that's exactly what you'd expect. Captain America, out of all the Marvel characters, lends himself the best to be used like a Jason Bourne or a Jack Ryan or even maybe James Bond to a degree, because he's a specialized security clearance type person with all the military training and all of that. So that was smart. Good move on Marvel. Unfortunately on my list though, it's not number 2, number 3, it's number 4. Number 3 on my list, easily Lone Survivor. Now for me, I come from a military family. Both my dad and my uncle were in the Army and my brother is in the Air Force. I went ahead and skipped all that, just went straight to college. But to me, I like these kind of films. I like a film that shows the honor and integrity and the bravery of a man. And I also like to see when men are good together in groups and you see this camaraderie, the way they bond together and the way they'll go down fighting for each other. It's what I liked about 300 as well, watching how the Spartans covered each other, you know. And I like to see that. I like to see men building other men up. That's a good thing. So for me, you take the real life story of Marcus Luttrell. This is his story, and then the way it was carried out and played out and done to the best of their ability. It's not exactly like the book, but in a lot of places it is. And I think Mark Wahlberg did a great job of playing a guy who's much taller and much bigger than he is, but I think he captured his essence. And I think Lone Survivor was definitely a good movie. And at the end, you definitely felt the weight and the emotion of the film. Number 2, it's Chef, the Jon Favreau movie. I just saw this not too long ago. Who would ever guess that the guy who directed and acted in Iron Man 1 and 2 would then turn around and do a movie about a food truck? But here he is. And in this film, it was kind of like watching, you know, Happy, the bouncer slash driver for Iron Man and Black Widow all in a movie together, just in different parts and different scenes. But Chef is probably the best movie this year that you haven't seen. What I like about it, Chef had an original storyline. It had the kind of angst that you would understand. The boss going bad on an employee being kind of restricted by the reins of his boss to just keep it popular rather than keep it creative. And then he finally gets out, and then the idea of him and his son finally, again, I like to see strong male characters. As much as people talk about strong female characters, we need to see some strong male characters too. And I thought this was great. When you see the nation now as a fatherless nation, you see Jon Favreau and the kid actor connecting throughout this movie. And then the fun and the laughter comes in, and it's great. And John Leguizamo is also funny in this film. So to me, and I know I'm fresh off of seeing it, it was good enough for me to put that movie at number 2. That's how much I like Chef. And I think if you watch it pound for pound with story, direction, acting, and all the elements and the way it was shot and the themes that play in it, it's kind of hard not to put it in the top 5 or in the top 3 even. And now, how about some honorable mentions before we get to number 1? That's right, number 1. So, honorable mentions, I'd have to say this year Films that I also enjoyed but didn't quite make it into my top 5, I'd have to say that Think Like a Man, which was a surpriser for me, was extremely funny. And in fact, I think I can make a case that it's just as funny as 22 Jump Street, if not maybe even a touch funnier. I really do think that movie was really funny. It really surprised me. I don't like rom-coms, but I put it in there. It's definitely an honorable mention. Not quite in the top 5, but definitely an honorable mention. I also put Monuments Men in there. I liked Monuments Men. I thought it was good. I know a lot of people hated on it, but again, a war flick and with a different twist, talking about the art, and it's a true story written also by another famous Texan, which Lone Survivor was a book written by another famous Texan, so maybe it's the Texas connection, but Monuments Men was good too, and I would put that in my list of movies that get the honorable mention. Jersey Boys is also another honorable mention for me. I had fun at this movie. Some people said it was too drab, too dark, too whatever. They jumped on Clint Eastwood, questioned whether he should even be shooting this film since he's a dark, gritty guy, but come on. You're talking about a band that was basically two parts of the band were felons, and they were very heavily mob connected. So it should look like Goodfellas meets That Thing You Do, and it kind of was. So when it was dirty, it was definitely really dirty, and when it was funny, it was really funny. And Christopher Walken was Christopher Walken. What more could you ask for? So Jersey Boys just missed my top 5. I probably have it at 6, but that's also an honorable mention. So enough. What you want to know is, what does Vegabomber thinks is number 1? And my number 1 film from this year, you can probably already guess it. You know I like superhero movies. X-Men Days of Future Past. Now, I can't really say a whole bunch about this that you haven't already heard, but if you're still there and you're still watching, then I'll tell you, here's what it is. When you take a movie like that out of all the things that could possibly go wrong with the timelines jumping back and forth, the different casts, and all the drama that's been related to it, the fans being angry with it, this movie should have just imploded and not have been good at all. But instead, it didn't implode, it dominated. And it was great, from the story, the direction, the action, the actors, all of it was good. The action itself I loved, the actors were good in their roles, the depth of character, the arcs that we did get, even though there were a lot of people in the film, and even the villains, up to par, up to snuff, definitely made you hate them. It definitely made you want to see them snuffed out by the good guys. So this is a movie I can't wait till it comes out on Blu-ray, because when it does, I'm buying it and I'll probably watch it as many times as I did The Avengers. So anyway, this is your boy Vegabomber telling you at the midway point of 2014 which are the best movies that I've seen thus far and which are my top 5. What are your top 5? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do I have some stupid movies in here? Or do you think there's something I overlooked, missed? Or do you think that X-Men Days of Future Past is just getting way too much hype? Whatever it is, comment below. Talk about it. Let's talk about it. We'll get after it. Anyway, I'm your boy Vegabomber and I'm out. You. Bobblehead time.